Good morning. Welcome to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, where we continue to double as the Techno Training Center for Spiritual Adventures. All right. So my name is Reverend Rafe Ellis. I want to welcome everybody who's joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. And we are going to get started right away with our first two community songs. I invite you to lift your voice and join in song wherever you are. Here we go.
Gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside, study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more, study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Study war no more. Study war no more. Study war no more. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Study war no more. 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 I'm gonna put on my dancing shoes down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna put on my dancing shoes down by the riverside. Study war no more. Study war no more. Study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Study war no more. Study war no more. Study war no more. surrender to nature and beyond. Be free. Let it go. Be free. Let it go. Be free.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I have bodies in the room. And I have bodies in rooms that are out there somewhere. And I suppose it's possible we have bodies not in rooms, just walking around the planet unroomed. So wherever you are, welcome, welcome, welcome. So my name is Reverend Rafe Ellis. I am so honored and privileged to be the senior minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. So let me share with our guests and remind us of who we are. We are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive community that celebrates the very diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic spiritual lives through a practical application of the teachings of science of mind. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul's self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, to each other, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution by giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures, and we intentionally, on purpose, shamelessly promote our community and our teachings. And one of the things that we do every Sunday morning to demonstrate our commitment to inclusivity is we do an inclusion candle lighting ritual. And we light these candles to celebrate the unity of all peoples, all faiths, all beings, all life. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way and path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. And we light this final candle, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. And so I invite you right where you are. Let's fill this universe with song as we join in our next community song. Here we go.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. see skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. Babies cry, how watch them grow. They learn much more than we'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than we'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful
Good morning. It's time for our announcements. And so the first one is our Actualizing Wholeness. Let me slide myself over back into the picture. Thank goodness for technology and monitors, so I know where I'm supposed to be. So our Actualizing Wholeness has shifted just a little bit. Instead of doing it every Tuesday night, we have shifted it to the first Tuesday night of each month. It's still the same time, starting at 4:30, and we pared it back just a little bit, so it's 4:30 to 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It is on Zoom only, so you can join from wherever you are on planet Earth that has an internet connection, and you have the Zoom app. And so we encourage you to join that. It really is an incredible conversation exploring the brilliant offerings of David Bohm, which really fits into what we're doing this year of timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision, because David Bohm gently but very clearly leads us into an exploration to question everything we think we know and open to wisdom that is in us that we're not aware of that we know. So hope you'll choose to join us for that. Wednesday evening, Ask the Rev Anything. We literally have one of those prize wheels, and it is loaded with questions. And as we answer those, we take those off and we add new questions, so there's always room to add more questions. That is offered on YouTube and Facebook. And so if you missed attending and you want to go back and listen to the recordings of that, you can do that on our YouTube site, Sierra Spiritual. All of it is right there. And you can come join us in the room, or you can join us virtually. Up to you. We are open for in-person services. We can, because of the space, we can have 15 attendees in addition to our tech folks. And so we are grateful that we have some bodies in the room. It's really, it is different. Who knew that having people in a room would someday be different? But here we are. And so we do encourage you to sign up through the newsletter. If you just click on the link there, it'll take you to our Sign Up Genius. That just guarantees you have a seat. At some point, I am envisioning that we will max out at 15. And so if you're one of the ones that signed up, you have a seat saved. If you're having challenges signing up, no big deal. Shoot me an email. I'll jump in there and sign you up. So there's multiple ways to do it. All right. And so this is our time where we focus on our community values. And so I am going to turn this over to Reverend Madeline. Did you turn that on?
I did.
Cool.
You have to train me all over again. So our community value for this week is community. It sounds like redundant, doesn't it? But it's not. So community really is a group of people living together in the same place, dwelling together, having a particular characteristic or just things in common. But there's an essence to it that I think is even more important, and that's the feeling of fellowship and knowing and sharing the values and the interests and the attitudes and creating fun together and having, goals that we've shared together too. And one of the things that this spurred me to think about was this community of the Sierra Center. I've been involved in the Sierra Center for spiritual living for over 20 years. We've changed our name. We've moved, 4 places that I remember going to. But I really wanted to highlight the creation, the co-creation of this community, of this building, because we remodeled it. There was blood, sweat, and tears put into this building by people in this community. And if you look behind the musicians when they're singing, there's a sign, and it says, "Joyfully co-creating beloved community." And that's what we've done for years and years and years. So I stand here today on this stage in deep appreciation for all the people who held a hammer, who moved the saw, who planned things. I mean, there was a big tub, a baptismal tub, underneath the floor over there. I think it's still there, but it's covered over. But it's just amazing what community can do. So I wanted to leave you with a quote from a man that you all know. Well, that's not true. He's dead. But George Bernard Shaw, someone people have heard of. And he said this: "I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community. And as long as I live, it's my privilege to do whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live." George Bernard Shaw. Thank you. I open up to that infinite knowing that Spirit is present. Spirit is everywhere at all times. And I know and accept that that one divine source is working in and through me in this moment and every moment. And that source works through everyone, that divine creative power, that love, that life, that grace that we each walk in, that infinite wholeness and oneness that is us. Oh, my gosh. Oh, the wonder, the awe, the joy. And I know as I co-create with Spirit, I co-create a world that works for everyone. That there's a centeredness in love. There's a centeredness in peace. There is a centeredness in comfort and compassion for others. I know and accept that each and every one of us make decisions from our hearts, from the highest and best of us, and that we love and grace and walk this earth with deep appreciation and gratitude for all the beings on the earth, for all of our friends and our family, and all of humanity. And I know and accept that we walk beloved earth with a consciousness of love, conservation, appreciation, and just, there's an overwhelming wanting for peace and love. And I know that each of us walk forward with health and well-being, and that we are infinitely creative beings. And I also know and accept peace in this world, in all cities, all states, all countries, everywhere. Peace, peace, understanding, compassion, and love. So I know and accept that each of us go forth with that love, that light, that joy in our hearts, and we are surrounded by that love, light, and joy as well. So the law is saying absolutely yes. I affirm it and I know it. And I'm so deeply grateful. And I also know and accept that it is so. And I release this word with grace, love, joy, peace, and conviction. And so it is. Thank you. So now it's a time in our service that we share our affirmation. And I will read it first, and then we'll read it together. And so this is the affirmation for the week. Everything in my life welcomes a realization of Spirit. Together. Everything in my life welcomes a realization of Spirit. And so it is. Thank you.
Here's a wishing well. Here's a penny for any thought it is that makes you smile. Every diamond dream, everything that brings love and happiness to your life. Here's a rabbit's foot. Take it when you go, so you'll always know you're safe from harm. when you're far away. So you'll always stay home in your heart. You will always have a lucky star that shines because of what you are. Even in the deepest dark, because your name is true. And if I could only have one wish, darling, that it would be this: love and happiness for you. Here's a spinning wheel. Use it once you've learned. And there's a way to turn the straw to gold. Here's a rosary. Count on every beat with a prayer to keep the hope you hold. You will always have a lucky star that shines because of what you are. Even in the deepest dark, because your name is true. And if I could only have one wish, darling, that it would be this: love and happiness for you. And if I could only have one wish, darling, that it would be this: love and happiness for you.
Let's take a breath together. So, first of all, I want to appreciate a couple of folks sent emails asking me to explain a couple of the terms that we're using. And I really appreciate that, because if you don't tell me you're not clear what they mean, I don't know. So I really appreciate folks reaching out going, what does that mean? So in January, I'm going to do a quick recap. We explored what the meaning of our 2021 theme is. Timeless wisdom. And timeless, so let's take that piece apart, because I had a couple people ask me, what does timeless wisdom really refer to? Well, wisdom is the accumulated philosophical and scientific learning. Timeless literally means not bound by any particular linear time period. And so timeless wisdom is looking at that accumulated body of learning beyond time frames, finding those truths that apply no matter where you apply them. It is timeless. It was true then, it's true now, and it's going to be true tomorrow. And so the other piece is evolutionary vision. Evolutionary simply relating to the gradual development of something. Vision, as we're using it, is Creator's highest idea of itself as creation. Right? And so the evolutionary vision is literally what we're referring to is life unfolding itself in, through, and as its creation, of which we are inextricably a part of. And so in February, we explored the individualization of that through one journey, many paths. In March, we looked at being open to possibility through the practice of visioning, to really dare to live in the question, what is the divine's highest expression of itself as my life? And this month, the next step is exploring stepping into the unknown. Because while we may catch the vision, it's significantly unknown how it's going to unfold. Right? And being in human form, we have this lovely thing called an ego that really wants to know how everything's going to happen, wants to know when everything's going to happen, and wants the predictability of guarantees that it's going to happen exactly that way without deviation. And that doesn't happen. And so our ego gets a little frazzled from time to time. Right? So the spiritual principle that we're working with this morning, our talk title is BLESS-ITATION. Now, if you couldn't find that word in the dictionary, that's a good thing because it's not there. Okay? We made it up because we do that sometimes. But the spiritual principle we're working with is wholeness. Okay? And wholeness literally means a state of forming a complete and harmonious whole, a unity, a state of being unbroken or undamaged. That's who you are. That is the truth of you. You are a whole, complete, harmonious unity within yourself, and life is that at the macro level. So how come we don't experience it that way? Well, before we get there, let me remind us of the what we believe statement that we're working with this month. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. In the global vision statement that we're working with, we envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence. We could stop there, but we don't. And discovering the creative power of thought. A world where every person discovers their personal power and ability to create an individualized life that works within a world that works for everyone. And quite literally, what that is talking about is that we live in alignment with the truth of our being. And when each individualized expression lives in alignment, our choices are made in alignment, and the harmonious operation of the whole must be the activity. And that is a world that will absolutely work for everyone. So let's look at this idea of bless-itation. First of all, blessed means consecrated, made holy. Every one of us is blessed. Every one of us was made holy because we're made out of holiness. Right? And just whatever you're made out of, you're that. It's a state, but I want to look at the suffix of the word bless-itation. language fascinates me. And just the Asian part of that, right? The suffix ation carries way more meaning than I had any idea. It literally means a state, a condition, or quality of. Right? The condition of being something, the act of being something, the result of being something. So, blessitation then takes us to a state of being blessed. Right? The condition of being blessed. The act of blessing. The result of blessing. And yet, many of us don't really experience our lives that way. Right? When we embark on any journey in this human realm, paradox shows up. We do the visioning and we catch the vision and we're on fire and we surrender to the unknown. And then paradox shows up. Hesitation shows up. Okay? Hesitation. A condition of being hesitant. Okay, let's go back to those things there for just a minute. The state or condition or quality of hesitant. The act of hesitating. The result of hesitating. Hesitation. But perhaps, rather than vilifying hesitation, we can reframe that it's a moment of blessitation that gives us pause and the power of choice to realign with truth. Doubt is going to show up. That's the paradox. That's the constant dance between our spiritual and our ego. We don't have to make it a bad thing, right? But here's what I'll tell you. If we stay in hesitation, it will lead to frustration, it will lead to exasperation, it will lead to trepidation, it will lead to desperation. Right? Notice how it snowballs. And it snowballs because that's where our focus is. Our focus is in the problem, and our focus is indicative of what we're believing. Right? So if I have simply a moment of hesitation, perhaps that is just a divine discontent, a nudge that is letting me know that there's something in my belief system slightly out of alignment. Right? It's like when you're tuning a guitar. You listen for the resonance of the two strings, right? And the way you know something is out of pitch is you hear two resonances. There's a hesitation between the vibration, okay? And so perhaps the moment of blessitation is that moment where we become aware that there's a rub. And it's simply a moment to come back to our thinking. Where have I placed my focus? Where have I placed my belief? Because most of us, this microphone has a mind of its own. Most of us in that moment where we have that this isn't going to work out the way I think it's going to work out, perhaps that's true. And perhaps that moment of hesitation is a moment to become aware of what is operating in our belief system that we already know is there that is going to sabotage what we're doing. Because when we become aware of what's operating, now we know how to correct it, right? If I'm tuning the guitar, I have to become aware that they're out of tune in order to know which way to turn it to bring it into alignment. Pema Chodron says this in her book, When Things Fall Apart. We think that by protecting ourselves from suffering, that we are being kind to ourselves. The truth is, we only become more fearful, more hardened, more alienated. We experience ourselves as being separate from the whole. Yet, when we don't close off and we let our hearts break, we discover our kinship with all beings. Just as a jewel that has been buried in the earth for 1,000,000 years is not discolored or harmed, in the same way this noble heart is not affected by all our kicking and screaming. The jewel can be brought out into the light at any time, and it will glow as brilliantly as if nothing had ever happened. No matter how committed we are to unkindness, selfishness, or greed, the genuine heart cannot be lost. It is here in all that lives, never marred and completely whole. Imagine what would change if we remembered that. We are in tumultuous times here on planet Earth, particularly here in the United States. Within the last 10 days, we have had upwards of 20 shootings. Mass shootings defined as 4 or more people. There is a pain operating in our collective consciousness that has covered the hearts of who we are. We are each participating in the solution or the problem. We cannot participate in the vilification of what we dislike and call it unification. It's not. We have to see beyond the behavior to the behavior. We have to remember that we are a part of a whole. And if we go to separation, a state of being separate, we are living a lie. And we are creating more discontent. And I'm not saying it's easy to recognize and identify and unify, to be in a state of unification consciously, because we're there whether we consciously agree or not. We are in a state of unification with the whole. But our mind is powerful. Our thoughts are creative. And are we adding to the separation? Or are we adding to the harmonious operation of the whole? The unharmed, the undamaged whole. The heart, the spiritual principle of wholeness. I've shared this with folks before. It's a spiritual practice that I use that obliterates any sense of separation. And it is a spiritual practice that is challenging, very challenging. And it came to me in the mass shootings. And it's what I call my I am practice. And so when something shows up on the news that I instantly want to vilify, I go to my I am practice, and I start with the thing that is most out of resonance with my being. The police that mistakenly fires their sidearm instead of their taser. I am the police officer. I am the shooter. I am the shot. I am the parent I am the grandparent. I am the police chief. I am every protester. I am the gun manufacturer. I am the bullet. I am the gun. Because if we are truly a whole, if there is truly one I am, and there is no separation, then I am one with everything. What I can tell you is that it will break your heart. This I am practice will break your heart because it challenges all of those egoic places of separation that Pema Chodron talks about, where we think we're protecting ourselves. We're not. We're burying the most precious part of ourselves under lies. We are one. We are a whole. And so I invite you to embrace the moments of hesitation, to embrace them as a blessing, as a point of choice, to understand that divine discontent is a moment of power. It is a moment where we get to choose which path we're going to take, whether we're going to take the path of separation or the path of unification, whether we're going to participate in the solution or the problem. It doesn't mean we don't have feelings, folks. It doesn't. It simply means that we choose. As Ernest Holmes said, our highest satisfaction comes from a sense of conscious union with this invisible life. The invisible, not the visible, the invisible. If we get stuck in what we see, we surrender our highest contentment. Our highest satisfaction comes from a sense of conscious union with this invisible life, finding such an inward wholeness that all sense of fear, doubt, and uncertainty vanishes. That's what's available to us. If it were an easy journey, we would all be part of mega churches. It's a simple journey, but it's not easy. It's not easy in this human realm, but it is ours if we choose it. And so 3 questions, 3 things to play with this week. Look back in your past. Can you find a place where Spirit was evolving and unfolding even when you couldn't see it at the time? Can you find it and go, oh, that was unfolding even when I didn't see it? Second thing, if you're experiencing a hesitation in life, know that you're out of alignment with your God self. That's what that hesitation is calling you to recognize, that you're out of alignment with your God self. Right? Get honest with yourself. Where are you actually placing your trust? Is it in the human realm of all of the problems? Or can you shift to the courageous? And the third thing is to move beyond conditions. To move beyond waiting for some condition to change or someone else to do something for you that is within you to do. Because to believe that is to believe that you are a center of limitation. And you're not. Doesn't mean we don't collaborate. But if we're living in a belief that there's something outside of me, well, that's the first clue, because there is no outside of the whole. Right? And so play with those this week. Where are you putting your focus? And challenge yourself to experience the wholeness that you already are. Let's take this into prayer. And so with this breath, I recognize the one, the infinite, the ever-present allness of life, the source, the one, the whole, creating out of itself, by itself, to experience itself in multiplicity, yet never separate from itself. This is my life. There is one life. That life is God. God is my life now. Always has been. And what is true of me is true of all creation. Every form of creation, the divine in form. And so I speak my word this morning, lifting up every expression of creation, knowing, affirming the wholeness within each physical being, the spiritual magnificence, the unlimited abundance, the unlimited vitality of perfect health. I speak a word reminding each and every one of us in human form that we are whole, perfect, and complete, consecrated, blessed by birth, made holy by design, that this is our birthright. And so we say yes. We say yes to being more than we can imagine ourselves to be. And in this yes, I know it is already fulfilled. That the same mind speaking the prayer is the same activity making it so. And so I surrender. I step into the unseen. I step into the unknown unfolding of life with complete abandonment and absolute confidence that it is holy, consecrated, perfect, undamaged, unharmed. And I let that be my experience. I invite you to join me by anchoring this together as we say, Amen, Amin, Shalom, Aho, Ashe, and so it is. And to answer one last question, all those are just different ways of saying amen. So let's take a breath together. As we shift into our time of giving, and I see that we've got some sort of technical thing going on because there's a blank screen on Facebook and looks like we've lost the Zoom feed, so don't know what that's about, but I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. So, all right. So, this is our time of sacred giving. And I just want to really dovetail into what Reverend Madeline shared this morning about community. We are a community that is sustained by the generosity of the community. By the generosity, if you are watching this and you are fed by this wherever you are a part of our community. You don't have to be here to be a part. And so I invite you to really step into that role of being a part of the community and to give as a spiritual practice. To tithing is the concept of giving a tenth to where you're spiritually fed. And so if you're spiritually fed by this center, I invite you to give to help sustain us. You can do that through our website, www.sierracenter.org. You can also mail your contribution to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, P.O. Box 2714, Grass Valley, California, 95945. And I thank you in advance for your generosity. So let's say our giving affirmation together, shall we? I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And so I got a couple of, there we go. So a couple of gratitudes. I want to thank Kate Stewart for the flowers last week, and Jeffrey Panic for bringing them by. I want to thank Sharon Joy Jehoda for our beautiful bouquet this morning. They're on our altar. I want to thank Reverend Madeline for jumping in and being our practitioner this morning. I want to thank Juanita for always being there behind the scenes. She literally is the wizard behind the curtain, folks. She absolutely is. I want to thank all of our practitioners who are the unseen prayer warriors for this community, holding many of our folks in prayer that are experiencing different physical and emotional challenges. That said, if you are having a challenge and you would like us to hold you in prayer, you can go to our website and submit a prayer request. We love to hold you in prayer. If you want someone to reach out and connect with you, let us know that. The information for the practitioners is also available in the newsletter and on our website, and feel free to reach out to the practitioners. This is a thing of reciprocity, and so you don't have to sit around and feel alone. Participate in the connection. Reach out to one another. Let's see. Reminder that we are open for in-person up to 15. Wednesdays and Sundays. Also a quick reminder, the office is not open during the week because with everything being truncated, it's just not a good use of our resources to do that right now. So not sure what we're doing yet next month in terms of the music. I am in conversation with our musicians about coming back live. And there are some potential complications with doing that simply because of the continuous fluctuation of COVID positive cases. But we will continue to nail Jell-O to the wall until a piece of it sticks. So that's our approach right now. We just nail it up there, and if it sticks, great. Okay, I think that's it. So we will close out with our benediction. If you're in the room and you feel like standing, great. And if you don't, great. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. It is this thing called wholeness. It is this thing called BLESS-ITATION. It is this thing called alignment. I know it. I feel it. I sense it because I am it. And so it is. All right, here we go.